Hey everyone, it's Krista from EarthBites, and this week we're going to talk about some of our favorite plant friends in the garden. We're going to talk about willow, plantain, and one of our very favorites, dandelion. I'm in the garden today with Shadow. She's going to help us look at some of the plants. All right, let's get started. All right, here we are standing around our willow. This is in the Lord Kitchener garden. We do have willow in other gardens that we take care of. This one has two different types of willow. This one is a Salix species, and you can see that it has the furry branches on it and the little willow. These will be the willow buds that come up. And over here is an Osier species. It will have red bark and it's a little softer to weave. Sometimes we prefer that in our projects. All species of willow are fast growers. They can grow up to 3 meters a year, which is twice my height. That's a lot for 1 year. And most importantly, they can start growing from branches and twigs with leaves that you leave around. So if you are working with willow, be careful what you do with anything that you cut off. In EarthBites, we've used willow a few times for weaving. We've woven frames and dream catchers and wreaths, and we've also used it in a project to look at rooting hormones, so to grow plants and hope that their roots grow faster. We also use it in cosmetics, so if you look at some of the ingredients in some of the cosmetics you use, you'll find it in personal care products because it's an astringent, it's an anti-inflammatory, and it's also soothing. And the last thing that is really interesting about willow is that it is aspirin that we know today is derived from the willow plant. So way back in Hippocrates' time, people often chewed on the bark of the willow to relieve pain and fever. Our next plant that we're talking about today is the plantain. This is the herb plantain, not the one that looks like a banana. You can see it here. These ones are lush and they're growing really nicely. Plantain, it has no known toxicity. It's super safe. It's also called white man's footprint, and it's been naturalized. It's not native to BC, but it's been here for a really long time. It reseeds really easily, and we love it because it has lots of different purposes. To make sure that you know that you are using plantain, you can tell what it looks like because it has the veins in it. It comes from the middle of the plant. It grows right from the middle of the plant. It has leaves. Some of them are more oval. You can also get ones that are longer in a lance shape. When the flowers grow up from them, they grow up from the center of the stalk, and they have teeny tiny little green seeds that grow from them, and they develop along the spike, and they turn brown when they're ripe. One of the main things we really love about this plant is its first aid qualities. So if you have a bite or a sting or a rash, you can cut off the leaf like this, and then you can either chew it up or mash it up and put it right onto the sting. If you have a stinger in your hand, it'll pull out the stinger, and otherwise it will it'll soothe and cool any of the bites or stings or rashes that you have. It is such a strong medicinal plant for that. It can help with cuts and sores and burns. It's also moisturizing and soothing, and it relieves pain, and it also is anti-inflammatory. It's edible too, which is great. You can use the small leaves, the young leaves, and put them in salads or in a smoothie. The larger leaves you can treat like spinach. Once you remove the veins in the back, you can cook it up with garlic and oil and make it make it into a stir fry. And the seeds, when they're ripe, remember when they've turned brown, you can take the seeds and chew them right off the stalk. It also soothes the respiratory system, so you can have it for colds and coughs and allergies. And one of the main things we do with it in EarthBites is we dry it, and then we infuse it in olive oil and put it into a salve that we use. We sell it at the markets, and we use it to put onto rashes or even as lip balm. The last plant that we have today is one of our favorites for EarthBites. It's the dandelion. We have an excellent specimen here. When you're looking for dandelion, you want to make sure that it has the cutouts on the leaf, so it's deeply toothed, and it has jagged teeth that are pointing back towards the stem. And there are lookalikes to dandelion. One of the other ways to make sure it is dandelion is that there's only one stalk coming up from the base of the plant. Other lookalikes often have more than one stalk coming out of them. This has just the one stalk, so we know it's a dandelion. In French, dandelion is called dent de lion, or lion, tooth of the lion. We love dandelion because it's high in vitamins A, vitamin C, vitamin K, calcium, iron, phosphorus, and B vitamins. It is a versatile plant. You can eat the entire plant unless you have allergies to latex. So for the leaves, they can be sauteed. Greens, they can be added to soups, in salads and pestos. These leaves are probably a little bit big, so they're probably bitter and old. I wouldn't use these to grow. I'd find dandelions that have smaller leaves. They do tend to be more bitter in the fall and less bitter in the spring. But they are excellent for your digestive system. So inside the stem, you'll see milky latex. It's called a bitter sesquiterpene lactone, and what that does is it fends off insects, and that's in the root as well. The roots are taproot, so they grow super long down into the earth. It's said that if your soil is calcium deficient, then dandelions will grow. If the soil is high in nitrogen, dandelions don't like that, so they won't grow as much. So if your lawn has a lot of dandelions in it, it's missing nitrogen. The root is also edible. It can be dried and used as a coffee substitute. If you are harvesting the roots in the springtime, they're a little more bitter. In the fall, they're a little more sweet because they've had the entire summer to become more nutrient dense. They're also really high in inulin, which feeds the really good bacteria in your intestines. So great for your digestive system. With the flowers here, you would take, not this one, it's kind of old, but for the fresh flowers, you would take the petals off and you can batter them and fry them, or you can put them into salads or into baked goods. One of the things that we really like to do is to infuse them into honey and make a dandelion honey. Super delicious. So the entire plant is so nutritious. I know we talk about it as a weed, but a weed is really just a plant that we haven't planted, that we haven't invited to be in our space. So dandelions, let's think of them as nutrient-dense food that we can eat all year long, that is available to us anywhere. All right, everyone, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us for another EarthBites video. Please do check out our other videos. We have tours and lessons on YouTube. And if you have any questions about the plants I've talked about today, or any other questions about plants that you have in your garden, don't hesitate to ask us. We'd love to help you out. All right, until next time, we'll see ya.